Hello and welcome back to the podcast. So I am joined by Maryna, and we're going to be talking all about analytics mentorship. So Maryna, how are you doing today?
Hi, John. Pretty good, and thank you for inviting me here. Hopefully, I will be useful here to bring something great for this beautiful community. So
Well,
thank you.
what's interesting is that literally, I think the first time you found us was through the Gary Fly interview, right?
Right, right.
So he's kind of a mentor of mine, although we
Hmm.
ended up starting a business together. But I mean, he's
Hmm.
just light years ahead of me in terms of like business acumen, and I mean, he's the president of a pretty large organization now. So just the timing of that is really interesting. So, how many mentors have you had over the years?
So right now, I'm doing their data marathon, and we have 7 students. And honestly, it's more than enough. That's how much time you can allocate to each of the student. And I need to make sure that they are on track, that they're going through all different modules, that that they're able to complete the tasks, and eventually, if at least 30% of them get the job, that's the success story. So right now, 7. But usually I'm helping at least 3 person in a month to find their job, whether it's just a resume wise or showing where you can advance your skills in a particular um, BI path. For example, I'm not really good at SQL. Let me show you how to focus better on several things, or data modeling, or the Python, or statistics. So usually 3 people in a month are placed by me in usually big corporations or startups.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So, I was actually asking you, who was your mentor? Like, have you
Oh,
had people guide you along the way?
yeah,
Because what you're talking about is like a more formalized mentorship program,
right.
which is it's an interesting distinction because oftentimes, like I'll talk with one of the co-hosts, Dr. Hall, who's the dean at the business school at High Point University,
Mhm.
and he says like, "Oh, go and do informational interviews." To where I would say that feels stiff to me. Just go and grab a drink with someone, and it's like the difference between formal and informal.
Right.
Um, have you had a formal mentor or an informal? Like, what's it been like for you over the years?
Um, I had both. I remember my first mentor, and I found him. Maybe I he found me. So I applied for a job as a business analyst, and I didn't get the job. So what he offered me, hey, would you like to join our business intelligence laboratory, where you can learn during 2 months some skills that, if you succeed in this, we can hire you and place you as a junior level business analyst. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. So, and he was my mentor at that time. I was so inspired, and it was around, I would say, 9 years ago. And
Oh
at
wow.
that 9 years ago, yeah. And he said at that time, Marina, remember my words, the business intelligence, it's just the beginning right now. In the future, this is the industry where you would want to be at, because every day we have so many transactions. uh, their companies are um, transforming so fast, and somebody have to analyze or bring in new metrics and helping the companies to compete between each other. So he was basically one of my first mentors. And then um, during my career, I had really, really good specialists. They usually one level more, or they're experts, or they're principals. Um, right now, I have several at work, so they're more technical. Their their leadership position is so. Right now, I have 3, in
Oh
all
wow.
different aspects. So leadership wise, technical, and the data science.
Interesting. So actually, I wanted to share
Yeah.
share my screen. I actually do have a more kind of formalized mentor situation.
Okay, show me.
So I went through the startup incubator in Greensboro Chambers of Commerce, and they hooked me up with this guy who he has worked in industry for a long, long time. And then what's funny is he pitched me this idea of, hey, I've got this startup idea. Because what I found is that a lot of these people that are in like these like more kind of stable 40-hour work jobs are kind of curious about entrepreneurship. So like we actually worked on it was a recommendation app for supplements. I mean, it didn't go anywhere, but it was so interesting getting to work on him with the project because I learned about, for example, I didn't know what a customer interview was. So we like went and interviewed a bunch of different customers. So working with him like that was really illuminating. And I'm realizing that maybe my understanding of mentorship is like pretty atypical from what most people.
I will give you an example. The mentor who is working in that industry will help you more to get you familiar with how it's working on the real project. What kind of bugs are you expecting to see? What kind of clean code should you expect on your project that you're working right now, and how it will be in the real world? Then what kind of SQL syntaxes you have to learn already in order for you to be placed and be onboarded in any teams very fast. That will show you seniority. You're not junior. You already know how it should be. So the mentor who is working in this industry, especially BI, will show you from different levels. Okay, it's not only Python. It's not only SQL. Let's go back to the basic. How that house was built. What is their data warehouse, database, how the model is working. And then after, you can apply your tools, which is Python and SQL. So he's showing where the interest rate, and especially if you're applying for a particular job in the company. Google is focusing on one thing. Facebook requires any analyst to have the Python on their resume. Amazon need to make sure that you're familiar with the cloud. So all this different aspect, you need to ask your mentees what he would like to focus on, what job he is interested in, what subject areas. Maybe he's an expert in particular subject area like biology or data science or healthcare. So like Alex, you had interview with him last time. He's working in healthcare. So he knows the tricks how to get in that industry and also how to apply business intelligence skills on top, because the healthcare, it's completely different tools, metrics, the setup of the data modeling. With me, e-commerce like Amazon, it's also completely different. I also was working with the healthcare and before Amazon for Expedia traveling. The whole idea, the tools, the way you are starting even creating your data models is completely different. So you're doing the agile work while interviewing your mentees, finding out what he likes to do, what he is focusing on, and then after giving them the right path, how you can achieve it. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Yeah. So, okay. So my conception of mentorship is finding people in the entrepreneurship space and then them kind of, it's the same high level concept of passing down knowledge, but with the mentorship that you're talking about, I think is actually much more applicable and relevant for our audience here of like, you find someone one tier above you who understands the tools, the methodologies, the mental models of what's going on,
right?
And then they can just pass that information on. All right, it looks like we've got some. We've totally been neglecting our audience here. So Deepak Kala asks, "What is the criteria or prerequisites for these mentorship sessions?"
I usually ask my mentees, why do you even need the mentorship program? So some of them in my group doing right now, finishing the boot camps for data science. And I was asking, why do you even need my mentorship program? The answer is pretty clear. I would like to be placed for this company or apply or get the job, but they are not showing me how to do this. I have the raw data of a lot of knowledge, but I don't know how exactly to get it. So any mentees who knows where he's going to apply, what subject area he's interested in, entry level of any BI tools, or even the idea how it's working already can be the first step to find the mentor and going through to the next level. Even though in my team right now, we have pretty similar students in terms of they all have their idea of business intelligence and data science. Some of them really good in Python and lack of the SQL or data warehouse concept. But in overall, all of them on pretty much the same level. So it's easy for me to work with them.
All right, we've got another. See, what's funny? Okay, we were talking about this off air. I'm so bad with name pronunciation. Is it Utsav? Utsav?
Mishra.
Do you know this person?
No, but I speak Russian, so it's easy for me to speak in different languages.
Okay, all right. So Utsav, and I did I get it right this time?
Mishra.
All right. So, hi, thanks for the wonderful topic. Can you please suggest how to find a mentor when you're not in a data science job, but want to get into the industry? So the people you're working with they kind of fit that exact description, right?
So several people that I'm working with right now, they're not in the data science. They never been in the data science world. So one of them was coming from the finance administration, another person from finance, one from biology. So completely different industries, right? So usually you just need to network a lot. Your gut feeling will tell you if that person would be a good fit for you to be your mentor. It's not only how skilled that person is technical, but I suggest it should be 5+ years of experience in that field. Like I have 9 years of experience. And then second, it's the personal connection. If you really like, if that person inspiring you and given the right path, how to get to that job, how to get into that field, you will really have a good connection. So I would say networking, asking the people around who has really huge several years of experience in that particular field. So like how it's working at Amazon, for example, in the company, you have several leadership up above you, and you are searching around them, hey, do you have mentees right now? And if you say, I'm full for this year, usually it's like 2-3 people, but I can give you some suggestions. Can you reach out to this person, this person, and this person? So now you're trying to select, you communicate with the different people. So again, it's networking. And then if the first person say, hey, you can go as a backup and maybe try to hit me up next year. So this way, it's easier for you to understand who is the best on the market or in the group of the people you're working with or networking. So That's my suggestion.
Yeah, and I think that is really important. Like there needs to be a personal connection there because it's not a job. They're not. And I think kind of getting into the psychology of the mentor is really interesting, and I wanted to speak to that at least a little bit. And we're totally going off script here. I don't even have the script pulled up. But so it took me a while to like even kind of synthesize and understand, like, why do people with this deep knowledge or this skill set, why do they want to train other people? Because I mean, on the surface level, it's like, that doesn't make sense, because they'd be a threat to that person's job security. But I think that there's almost like a legacy element for a lot of these people. Like, they want to pass on their knowledge to kind of the next wave of people in the next group. But also too, they might be using you as like a strategic piece. And like, if they're going to be moving up into management or a VP role, they need to find their replacement so they don't, tarnish the relationships that they've built out, especially as you get higher up in these organizations. I mean, you can really leave someone in a bad spot if you leave. If you're entry level, I mean, I want to say you're like replaceable, but you're kind of like interchangeable.
Everybody is replaceable nowadays. So,
well, yes and no, because like, I think that like, if a VP left and they didn't do a good job, well, I guess you're at Amazon, so everything's like documented to a T. But a lot of the small organizations that I've done consulting work with, if one of the managers left and they hadn't written everything down, all that knowledge is just lost, and that's a huge that's a huge loss for the organization, because I think I'm using this word correctly. It's like the human capital, like understanding not only like the skill sets and the processes and the systems, but like the intuition and like kind of the between the lines.
Yeah. So I think what the mentors getting from these programs is, first of all, the mentor is learning more than the mentee during those sessions, 100%. You will know so many tricks that you forgot maybe, and then facing with a new project, because during my data marathon, the students building the different projects, the one that they picked, the one data sets that they picked. I never saw those data before, right? So it's different, even industry. So now I'm applying my architecture skills to visualize how it might look like on the dashboard, which is my last step, right? But how I can build it from the beginning. So I'm learning more than them. Second, yes, in order for us to have a better life in the future, we need more experts in this field. So I'm relying on them, whether my future life would be better. Because the business intelligence is what it's about, is how I can deliver fast the metrics or bringing the summary level of data that will impact on the business. So if I'm bringing something new, I predicted something cool, even let's say in the data science, biology, it can save someone's life, right? So
yeah, true.
I have the responsibility to teach them right, or at least showing them the directions, or showing maybe you don't even need this industry. You're not passionate about. Do you really like it? Do you really want to be one? So that's the first question I'm actually asking every student, because at the beginning there is such a big hype. Oh my God, data science, they pay good, but do you know how big the competition is? Are you ready for this challenge?
Okay, I kind of want to like fill this thought out a little bit further, because I've heard this talked about quite a bit, of like the role of passion and like actually being, and I think passion is like way overused. I think it's like, are you genuinely intrigued or curious about the work? Because the difference between someone who is putting in the bare minimum versus someone who is just like almost borderline obsessed with the job and like really passionate and curious, that difference, like expanded over a 15, 20, 30-year career, it's huge. It's like magnitudes difference. And I think that that's something that you're right. Finding a mentor and getting to know someone on a personal level, they can spot like, hey, I think that you're forcing this. You're not actually into it. You think it's a good idea.
You can teach the skills, but you cannot teach the passion, whether you have this or not. That's all. On top, yeah, you can teach the SQL on top, but that would be the next level.
Yeah, well, because I mean, the skills, it's like they're kind of secondary. It's like if you just spend enough time on it. And I mean, barring that your IQ is like not below like what 80,
Mhm.
or like as long as you have like enough intelligence to learn it, which I
Yeah.
think most people are. Yeah, it's just spending enough time. But an indicator of are you going to spend that time is like, are you actually
Are you dedicated?
right? That's interesting.
Because
Okay.
I am dedicating my time. I am a very busy person. I don't have a lot of time during the day. My friends know about it, especially during the summer. But I'm running with them this marathon. It's my sprint. So I gave my time to you, even though I work for Amazon as a full time. So you need to be dedicated as well. So I usually very strict with my students.
I love that. I need to be more strict. We've got Hunter kind of in queue here. I'm too soft on my students. I need to be meaner. Speaking of students, are there things that you're seeing, like repeating patterns? Like for example, I'm totally going to call out Molly, who I texted. So Molly, I don't know if you've seen the episodes where we helped her go from like she's got a degree in environmental science and knows some GIS to 2 months of upskilling and applying, and she landed her first entry-level data science job. I'm Molly, I'm calling you out right now. I hope you're listening. You've got imposter syndrome. Like she was like, oh, I don't want to come on. I don't think it's interesting. Like my story. And it's like, I think that it's imposter syndrome that I see a lot with a lot of these people kind of early stage in their career.
It's the level of the confidence that you will build through different projects. Once she already got this job, so it's the first step. Now she have to level up by network, asking the right business questions. So that will help her to be more to communicate on a much higher level. So she would not feel that junior or like the first enter level anymore. But it's something that you're getting from the experience, definitely. Like for me, I moved to United States 5 years ago. I didn't speak that with this level of the English, okay? And now I'm going to the tech company and the whole world just changed. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going back. This is not sounds good to me. So my level of the confidence was like here, right? So then I started to work on my different skills, the soft skills, the business skills, technical skills. And
well, soft skills are really tough if you're learning it. If you're learning a second language, like for example, like I don't speak Spanish. I speak like I can go to a Spanish speaking country and like get around, but like for me to make a joke, I couldn't be funny in Spanish because like understanding like you have to have an understanding of the context and then how to use the language. I think that what you're describing is kind of what Molly's going through, only slightly pivoted in that she got this data science job before she had the hard skills. So she's landed the job and now she's learning Python like at work. And I think that is interesting.
Never be afraid to ask stupid questions. That's number one advice at work. People actually, especially at my work at Amazon, they like when you're asking questions. That means you are focused on the goal. So you are ready to deliver. And if at the beginning your questions are not that high level, nobody cares. So it's only in your head that you are scared.
Okay, I have a challenge though, because yes, I get that like there's no stupid questions, but you need to be cognizant of you don't want to feel like a dependent child at work.
Of course.
Right. So I think that there's like a little bit of a kind of just make sure that you are researching your problems on your own, but don't go with every single, because that's what I'm afraid the audience is going to take out of this. Yeah, I'm going to ask my manager every single question I have.
The right way, I think it's the whole culture about what is the right way to ask the questions. If you're going to ask the question and you're not sure, please come up at least with one idea how you're thinking you might solve it. You might solve that problem. Saying, hey, I'm not sure how to actually to build this data model, but I have one idea that here's my approach. What do you think?
Right. Because that's the difference. And this is kind of a subtle thing from a soft skill standpoint of being a problem solver versus just someone who takes orders. Because if you just take orders and wait to be told what to do before you take action, I think that's really going to limit your career. Because if you're going to go up in an organization, you need to be self-sufficient. You need to understand how to proactively solve problems. All right. We have been neglecting the chat. So we had some questions coming up. Here's a good one. So Anthony, how do you say that?
How to find a mentor when you're out of work? Where do you mean? You don't work anywhere? Okay.
So he's probably in between jobs. I was asking, how do you pronounce his last name? Is that Russian? Are you bringing out like
Anthony Morica?
Morica?
Antoni. Oh, maybe no. And Anthony Morica. Maybe it's Anton Morica, but I'm not sure.
Okay. But okay. So yeah, I don't know if this necessarily, Anthony. I'm not sure that being out of work versus being in work has any impact on finding. Although I guess if you're in an organization, a lot of times there are mentorship programs, like maybe
easy.
Right.
It's easy at work, but all my students found me through the LinkedIn and their friends. So they were asking around, who is really good in this field? For example, you would like to focus more on data warehouse, and do you know someone around who is a data engineer, at least level 2, and I really would like to connect with him? And then connecting with that person, asking, do you have any mentors right now? Can you mentor me on this topic? And also, you have to come up with an idea. What exactly you're going to ask your mentor? What is your goal and the mission? If you're just going to mumble and I just need a mentor, like I'm not sure why exactly, nobody's going to work with you. So
yeah, okay. So I just pulled Nikita's questions, very similar. If you're not part of an organization, so I can speak to that question of how I met Gary Fly. So in that interview, Gary Fly said, "I'm curious and I'm somewhat fearless." So he was in the co-working space that I was in, and I just went up to him and said, "Hey, I haven't met you yet. What do you do? I'm just curious about what you're doing." And genuinely, I mean, what is the saying? In order to be interesting, you need to be interested.
Right.
Because there's kind of I can't even say that word, reciprocity, where you ask them a bunch of questions about them, they start feeling good and validated, like, oh, I'm doing interesting work. Oh, what do you do? Because then they almost feel like self-conscious of like, I've overshared. And then you kind of build a genuine connection that way. So you are doing it via LinkedIn. Do you have any tips on how to meet mentors that way?
Yeah, so you have to bring a perfect letter or the message that will describe the summary of about yourself, what is your level of the education, whether you have the work experience, why you think you need a mentor, what is your goal in terms of, usually it's work related, like I would like to be hired, like I want to find a job in tech data analysis industry, and why you think that mentor that you are sending this letter is going to be a good fit. You have this skills, you have this so much experience, or you're working in this particular company, so you know exactly if they hired you, you know what is the steps to get this job. There are so many questions on my LinkedIn about how did you place your job at Amazon. You definitely know what was their interview types, what were the questions about. So I can definitely be that person who can give the advices and the tips. But then we're looking after at your level of the entry, whether you're a junior, whether you're already progressing engineer and you just need the help with the last steps, which is updating the resume and helping you out with the interviews. So that would be just the difference.
Okay, so just be
I will
very
get a letter.
specific.
Very specific.
Okay. Man, okay. Tejeshwar Parmar.
Tejeshwar Parmar.
Okay, all right. So he is. I feel like I need to like have everyone send me their name and then like the phonic pronunciation of it. But okay, so this kind of relates to what you were just wrapping up there. So he's asking, I've done quite a few courses in data science, Python, SQL, and have an MBA specializing in business analytics, but I'm not getting any interviews for data analyst positions. What can we do to get an interview?
You can go in and applying for the job. Go into
I have follow-up questions because I saw this. So my MBA at UNCG was a day program, and it was split, the cohort split 50-50, where half the students went directly from undergrad to grad school. So if you have an MBA and you have no experience, you're really in a tough spot. So I don't know if that's where you are right now, but
this is a good example. If you're already done several courses in data science and Python, you can create a project, work on your project for several months, 2 months at least, where you're going to show your data analysis skills, which would be how you set up your data model, data warehouse, what kind of tools on top did you use, with a Tableau, Power BI, why you did that. So you're using your knowledge already, the Python, SQL, and then on top you're showing, okay, I didn't have any experience before, but this is my experience. This is my working experience for 2 months. Especially that would be good if that person already know what industry he's going. So his project will be subject oriented. So if he's going to Facebook, he's probably going to take some Instagram data or their competitors. So it should be the strategical move of picking the project. But since you already have this Python SQL knowledge, you might even finish it quicker. So and you will start doing the interviews. Also ask the people who work in those organizations and if they can send you a referral. So that's another case.
Right. So networking for sure is the obvious. Connect with people who are potentially going to hire you in the future. I love what you're saying though about create your own project, because what the subtext or the undertone of this question is that I don't feel empowered right now. It's like I need to wait for someone to tap me before I can go and get. For example, I don't know if you have seen the Jay Swano episode, but it was titled our episode of how to get an analytics job at Amazon. Jay Swano actually created his own nonprofit and did data analysis for his own organization. So that is like, I mean, that is top tier. Like for you to start your own, I don't know, it's not an S corp, but like a 5013C. That's a little bit like over the top, but you can carve out your own projects. Like you don't need to wait for someone to give you permission to start building your experience.
If you will go even deeper, your project is already a startup idea, because your project have to solve the problem what every startup doing, right? So you have to identify what are you trying to solve, and then go to that company, showcase that you solved the problem, and that's the proof that you can make the work done. That's it.
Right. Well, and also too, Shashank, who came on a few episodes back, he put it very poignantly that companies will not pay you to solve problems that have already been solved.
True. That's why I do not pick the project on the Kaggle that everybody is working on. Be more creative, or try to see what are the trends in that company that you're applying to. What are the trends that they're looking for, what they're struggling with, what their pain point. This is your customer. So you have to be the customer obsessed that way, that create the idea for them that will solve any of their problems. So or the particular, for example, something in AWS specifically, or at Facebook, the fraud. For one of my students is taking the data about the security, how many copyrights right now going, especially during the pandemic. Okay, this is something interesting, right? So security wise, something fraud related, those are the topics are trending in every company. So again, be very strategic, spend some time. It's not one day. My students were struggling the first week. They thought it's such an easy module just to pick a project and find the data set. This is the hardest. Because at the end of the week, they're like, Maryna, I still have no idea what project idea to pick because I want to impress them. But at the same time, there are so many ideas out there. I was like, what are you passionate about? What do you actually like to do?
Oh, I've got actually kind of a simple framework to think about this. Those are good points. That's a good place to start. But also maybe think through what's your specific knowledge. Like, what have you done? So, for example, rooting back to Molly, which I feel like I talk about Molly all the time, and she doesn't want to come on the podcast. Molly, come on. So Molly knew environmental science. She then threw in some data visualization skills and applied for a data science entry-level data science job doing natural or disaster recovery. So it's like she understands the environmental factors and has like the base level skills. All of a sudden, the pool is just whittled down from like, I don't know, tens of thousands to just a handful of people, and then she stood out, and then and they got the job there. So okay,
so she was an expert in her subject area,
right? Well, okay, so this is debatable. She has a degree in environmental science.
Okay,
to say that you're an expert,
well,
I mean,
at
not
least
to talk down on her.
Entry level of that expertise in that field, because
absolutely,
fundamentals knowledge. Because for them, for the hiring managers, they don't want to spend a lot of time on onboarding you to help you to learn technical skills and on the top business. No, let's pick something, just one. In her case, it's more technical, next level, but we're fine with this. So
that is a really interesting nuanced point. I think that they hired her because she understood the context, and they were like, oh, we can teach her Python within a matter of weeks or maybe a month or two. To where like it's harder to teach someone the business acumen or the area of expertise versus just the hard skills. Because the hard skills are
so now she needs to feel actually more level up. Hopefully we inspired her to feel better.
That's true. Well, I'm going to be grabbing dinner with her soon, so I'm sure we'll talk all about it. But I did want to circle back around to this concept of finding or carving out your own projects. So with our learning platform, what we're thinking about doing, and I haven't seen anyone do this yet, is that we're just going to release all of our data, and that if you can come up with a solution and a recommendation for like a marketing campaign, we could potentially pay you for it.
Is it particular subject area, or just a all bunch of like not related unstructured data that you have?
Here, I can pull up, like, I've actually got it right here.
Yeah.
So this is the Google Analytics data from our learning platform.
Okay.
So I haven't seen anyone do this, and I, as an entrepreneur, I can't tell if it's a good idea or if it's a bad idea, and there's a reason why people aren't doing that.
Somebody need that. Okay.
So this is our platform. We're selling these case study courses. And then this is the back end. What? Tell me.
So some of my Russian colleagues, what they're doing, they're building from scratch a website with just junior level developers. So what you can do, you can bring, in your case, you do have the junior level data analyst who will be working together on building the project, not them individually, that will help them actually to get the sense of what is the team means, right? So
Mhm.
you as a coach, as a mentor, you will be guiding them, having the idea how it might be in the future, or can have like completely agile style where you're gonna change their eventual project idea in the middle. So, and they will be all working together with this raw data. They have the same level of knowledge and expertise, but you would need to go through different types of business intelligence. So, like, you would need to focus on SQL, you would need to focus on data cleaning, the coding. And I think, like, at the end, it can be a really nice analytical solution that they accomplished as being just juniors.
Right. To where, because that is the problem that I'm seeing in the market, is that like that person who asks like, hey, I have all this credentials, I have an MBA, I have all these courses I've taken, but I can't get a job. I think the reason, the missing piece, is that you haven't done anything. You haven't solved a problem. To where, well, okay, so.
And this is real world problem, actually.
Right. And I can just say, here, have access to all of this. And well, okay, so my framework was, what we could do is just have the students maybe break into groups or do this individually. And then on LinkedIn, we could do a challenge here, post this hashtag with your solution. And then we'll take the one that is the best and then like maybe pay out a certain amount of money. But I mean, really, I mean, the money seems secondary to actually them solving the problem, coming up with an insight.
Another kind of input. So when they will be doing this project, you as a mentor and the coach, you will identify their data ninja skills, where this particular person is good. So in between, you going to share with them what kind of jobs you have to apply for, where I think, as from the mentor and the coach perspective, you will be good. For example, that person, I don't like coding, so but I do like data visualization. So you probably have to like more focusing on some types of the Tableau, Power BI, data analyst jobs. Or this person is really good at modeling. So I would recommend you to be a data engineer. So you have to apply here and here because it's a huge demand on such specialists. But it's in your it's your responsibility to catch that passion and catch their skill set. So at the end, everybody will be a winner in their own field, even though they build it all together. So that's how I feel it.
Okay, so the role of the mentor is to kind of understand the lay of the land and then figure out, okay, you plug in right here really well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hunter, I hope you're paying attention because we're adding you into the stream.
Yeah.
You can come in too. All right. It's the group party now.
Me too.
All right. So I'm going off of what's funny. Me and Al talk about this all the time. It seems like this is a scripted show. I just make this stuff on the spot. So what you're saying, I'm going to take literally what you said just now, Maryna, about where people can plug in. Because so I taught Hunter Brown last semester in my special projects class at High Point University. So I think I can understand where he fits in. And Hunter, I want you to keep me honest and see is this a good idea or not. So where I think I see you plugging in into the analytics space. Let me think about this for a second. So I think that you are so there's a spectrum within the analytics space. There's people like me who it's like I swim in the kiddie pool in terms of like technical skills. Like I know Power BI and I know Tableau and I can copy and paste and kind of modify SQL a little bit.
I would agree with that statement, yes.
Oh my God.
You don't need any more grades from him, right? I'm just making sure. Look out for you, Hunter.
I'm a very gifted orator as the professor. Hunter, agree with that?
Yeah.
So I'm on like the oh man. I'm just getting burned left and right.
Oh,
Apparently,
it's been wow.
No, I've
Kiddie
got
pool.
floaties.
I mean, it doesn't
I
require
wear the
any actual
floaties.
swimming in the kiddie pool. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we're getting on the side tangent. So
what
I'm
are the-
here in the heavy soft skills, light hard skills. Hunter, you're much more technical. You're much more on this end of the spectrum. I think you should learn coding. I think you should probably learn maybe predictive modeling, and that can kind of be like the space that you go into. So more of a data science role.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that because I've been working with computers my whole life, and so for me, it's more natural to learn that. So I mean, I would 100% say that I'm still interested in the business intelligence part of things, but I don't want to skip over the technical side either. And something I've been wanting to work on for a long time is SQL. It's something I've finally been able to start working on this summer, and it's going well so far. It's rough, but we're getting there, and but nonetheless, it's been exciting to be able to learn. I've learned a lot more over this past year than I've learned in my past 18 years. So it's pretty great. Excited for it.
So do you have any follow-up questions on like kind of the direction that he could go in? So let's do like a little Menti session, and we can do some meta commentary around this.
Yeah. First, the first comment, the business intelligence, it is technical. That's number one. It's very technical. So tell me a little bit of what kind of, so right now you're in the university, right?
Right.
And what type of degree and your specialization you will have?
See, at the moment, I'm actually going for a management major, but I'm adding on a data analytics minor for this next semester coming up. What, Fernando?
Yeah, you get an F for being supportive of your bold professor here.
But yeah, so I'll be adding on that data analytics minor next semester because learning data analytics is something that's very new for me. It's something that I didn't do any of before last semester's class with John David.
You started with the data analytics last year, correct?
Correct. Or this previous semester, yes.
I was about to say it's been like 3, maybe 4 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
Started.
And you already started to work on your project, isn't it?
I've completed 3 projects, 2 of which were for the class, and the third was one I did in my own time, and I'm still working on a 4th. It's actually interesting for me. It's actually going to be useful to me because it's for a video game.
Cool.
It's a video game that I play.
I was about to ask. You have such a cool gaming chair, so you probably like to play the game. It's nice.
Cool, super nerdy.
An idea for you. So right now, the big corporations and Amazon as well, they're working within their platform to create the product that will connect with the video games. So it's a great opportunity for you to choose this subject, area to start doing your applying your data analytics skills on top. So you'll definitely have your nice data set, data model, and then on top you will start applying SQL knowledge that you are doing right now. And then only at the end there will be data visualization. So I know that you already started to work with the Tableau. It's going to be there. So, but you have to come up with your goal, the mission, what you're going to solve for those like video games, data analysis.
Right.
So you have to find the niche.
I think it's interesting that you bring up that Amazon's actually been focusing on that as well, because I think microtransactions are going to be a big part of the electronics industry and almost every aspect, not only video gaming, but I mean, e-commerce, everything. So it's nice to hear that the area of that happens to be my interest can also be one that's expected to grow in the future.
Yeah, and I remember, I think it was last session, you were showcasing one of your dashboard, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So I still remember my feedback, and I still wanted to give it to you.
Oh, be harsh. Be super
I will
mean.
not. No, it actually was clean, but at the same time, so you had 2 or 3 different filters up, which was about the H, product type, product name, and then at the end, under you had a graph, right, showing based on this, if I will pick this H, how popular it's on the market. So in this case, you have to understand who are you doing this project for? Who is your customer? Are you doing this for the company who's a competitor, or are you doing within the company who would like to see very fast identify who is our target? Okay, so I would not even put the filters for the product on the top. It doesn't make sense for me. If, let's say, I will call this report missing opportunities, I already have the mission to show me who is the age of the people or the gender who not paying me or who is not buying the product. And I will highlight at the bottom on that graphic that you had only those people. You might have all the data there, but me as a stakeholder, I have literally 1-2 seconds to make the decision, especially in the big corporation. So I don't want even dig into your data and slice it on the different filters. Give me the result right away. So I will show up, here's their gender or the age, and highlight where we're missing. This is the missing opportunity. After that, me as a stakeholder can make their business decision as whether to remove that kind of product that nobody's buying, or how I can engage that type of the audience, that gender or the age, so they will start buying it. So I will create whether marketing campaign or something like this. You see the point?
Yeah.
So use this advices when you will start doing your new project that will connect with the video games.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Can I give you? Let me give you context of that case study is a case study I taught. And honestly, that was poor preparation on our end. I kind of threw like, "Hey, explain this visualization," and he hadn't looked at it in 2 months. So, my bad.
Okay.
But nonetheless, the feedback that you gave was still relevant, and it's actually something that I'm planning on implementing in this next project that I have. Is I want to include KPI indicators more. It's something that I watched a video from. What's his name? I forgot his name, but he's a prominent analytics YouTuber, and he had spoken a little bit about it, and so that's something that I'm trying to implement right now.
Nice. Good luck.
Thank you.
So, Maryna, I'm going to totally disagree with your feedback here.
Oh, spicy.
But
okay, tell me.
To be kind, we didn't lay out the context well enough. So that case study is based off of a project I found on Upwork, actually. So a marketing agency sent me this huge survey, and they said, all right, I need you to build basically a data app so that I can pull out the insights and take screenshots to populate this presentation to send to this end client for a pitch.
The mission was different. Okay.
Right. So yeah, so it is. Yeah. So the trade-off there is like, it's very versatile, but it's like almost too cluttered to where like, if it were just, if I were reporting to you and your organization, it would probably be like much cleaner and much more simplified. Like here's the specific thing, but yeah, the context of it. So basically they wanted just all this information distilled down into that stack Likert scale so that they could figure out, all right, so she wanted to be able to click around and identify, all right, females between the age of 35 and 44 in California, that's our target demographic. And then take that insight and then send it along to put in their pitch deck to pitch the end client. So I think that was, it's the trade-off there. And I think that's something that we don't really maybe you talk about this a lot in mentorship of like, so the trade-off is cleanness, simplicity, focus versus versatility.
Structure.
Right.
Clean.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the code, in terms of the way you are applying your skills. So I think that was part of one of the questions that Abby put yesterday. And he asked how I can level up right away or onboard fast in the company where they just hired me. So now I'm kind of started to prepare what would be my life there. So if you're a data analyst, and I'm not sure about your position, data analyst or a business intelligence engineer, you have to be focused on 3 different things once you get the job and you're onboarding. Before that, you need to level up your SQL, first of all, but also doing it in a smart way. Think about the right syntax or your style that you're applying to your queries. So once you get to any big corporations or even small companies, they want you to be a senior level. So that means you're showing your style, that you have structure, good style, syntax, SQL. They will be already impressed. Then second, while wherever you're going, it's going to be a new subject areas. If it's a big corporation, so many different data sources and tables, views, that you will be shocked how I'm going to learn all about this in several months. So your idea would be first to learn about the subject area, what kind of metrics that people are looking at, and asking those business questions by querying those data sources. This way, not only you're learning the business area, but also you're learning all their object that in your Redshift, let's say, or a data warehouse. And then after that, to make very fast onboarding, you have to connect with your stakeholders, with your customers, set it up the meetings, be more proactive. That's actually good advice from Wally. Set up the meetings, asking what is your pain point, what are you trying to get from the data. So by asking that, you're learning again your data sources, pulling your SQL queries and get the data for them. So they will see, number one, you have already showing the leadership principle as bias for action, and you're ready. You don't even need this onboarding time, which is usually like 3 months. So that's what I would be focusing if I would be Abby, and I didn't start my job at Amazon yet. So.
All right, we got a question from Matt Braden here. So how do you manage the expectations of mentees? I like that question. I like Matt when he participates and he's not roasting me. These are good.
How do I manage the expectations of mentees? I'm asking them in the poll the questions about how they're feeling in that particular subject area. Whether, let's say, we're doing right now the data warehouse, and how good they're feeling, what their type of the knowledge right now, what level. And then based on that, I'm using the agile techniques. I'm focusing more on that particular module so they can level up. So, and I'm expecting from them to deliver much higher results from that topic. So that's basically it. You're doing non-stoppable feedback questions. Are you progressing here? So this is the expectations that you're going to get.
Okay, so my interpretation of this question was that maybe this is a situation you get often where people come to you and like, oh, I can work with you for a week and then I'm going to get a job that I'm going to pay $100,000. So I think that's the expectation that he's talking about managing.
Gotcha.
And I could, Matt, tell me if I'm wrong.
There are several scenarios by that. When you are agreeing on collaboration where the mentee is going to pay you if only he is going to be onboarded, and there are many companies like that. I have one guy. His name is Tilak Mamutov. He's from Kazakhstan. He was hired by Google, was working there several years as a senior development engineer. And then he started his startup, and he is preparing right now the developers for Google to onboard to Google. So, and those developers are paying only if they've been hired. So there are several percentage that come into his pocket if they are hired. So both are happy. There are other situations. In my case, it's upfront, just because it's marathon. I know that you're gonna have like 10 weeks, and that's the expectations that you will have the knowledge, and I'm gonna help for you to be onboarding at work. So there are different scenarios, I think, for the mentors, but I guess it's individually.
Okay. Yeah, because I do feel that a little bit, that pressure of like managing expectations for the podcast. Because some people like have these like wild, like, I want this to change my life, and it's like, I don't know you, I don't know what's going on in your life.
Right.
But all right, let's pivot. Hunter, we can talk about the Discord server. I know that you want to talk about this.
We've had quite a few people asking in the chat about ways to interact with other analysts in the industry. For example, Natika actually asked, can we gather people digitally who are willing to work on projects together? Well, with the brand new How to Get an Analytics Job Discord server, you can not only do that, but you can also interact with members of our own community here in the How to Get an Analytics Job. Sometimes guests will join on there. Maryna, I'm going to ask you to join on there. You don't have to. Don't feel obligated. But I would really appreciate it if you would. We get a lot of new members. We're actually growing pretty steadily at this point. We've got upwards of 30 members, which is doing pretty good. And there, if nothing else, you should at least check it out, because they have a lot of good information on there. People are asking about this or that all the time, and it's just a good way to easily communicate with other people.
Okay, and how are you interacting? Do you have every week calls where you are going through the summer level, what everybody was doing? How is the task going? Are we progressing?
At this point, we're still primarily building it out.
Okay,
so
somebody have to take the role as a leader on this project, as a project manager. So to identify, okay, here's the project manager. He's responsible for setting up these meetings, so we'll be all on track. Here's the development leader who has the most of the knowledge, and might be the mentor who can lead all others junior data analysts. So right now it's chaotic in terms of everybody's just interacting, saying, hey, how's it going? Getting to know each other. But eventually it has to be the process.
Well, that would be the end goal. If we get enough members, then it'll be really easy to set something like that up, because we'll get regulars on every day.
Hunter, will you send a link? Everyone in the chat's begging for it.
Of course, yeah. I don't
deprive our audience.
I don't think it'll let me send the link in the actual chat, but if you want to pull it up on the stream right now,
it's in the description. Chat, to be honest here, is it in the description of this video? If you're watching this on YouTube, I don't think it's on LinkedIn.
And everybody can join this team? Question.
Yes, everyone can join
this team. The open source idea for data analysis coming together and let's work on something. So kind of like a GitHub, but more narrow, right?
More personal, I think, as well. Okay. Something like GitHub, I mean, you can get all the data for it, but you can't really. With this platform, you can like live stream the work that you're doing over, and you can talk with them on a live feed. And I think that's just something that, like, I don't know, it's not really GitHub. It's not really the same thing.
Well, okay.
Yeah, the Discord server is not in the video description.
Oh, it's not?
Nope.
All right. My bad, guys.
Well, John David, I think at a certain point, I mean, you know.
All right, I'm going to distract everyone here. I have an announcement to make.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had a conversation with Michael Galarnik, and what we're going to be doing to promote this marketing analytics case study course is that what we're doing is, so it's in beta phase right now, and I'm going to get you through building the data model, visualizing the core of it, and it's going to be ugly. But then you will be encouraged to customize it, take the analysis in your own direction, post it on LinkedIn, tag us in it. And then what we're going to do is, I think we're probably going to do this, and this is an idea I'm like working out in real time. I think we're going to have finalists, and then we can share this on our stream and then have our audience vote for who's number one, who has the top solution for it. Then that person can come in on the stream and then have their portfolio and also their pitch of it critiqued by Michael Galarnik. So that's the new idea.
Make sure here you are, as like the main builder, you're going to create the robust database and data warehouse, because you're not going to change it in the future. And if you're going to make the mistake, that will be a problem. So if you are good there, what you are changing only is your data visualization part, which is you just giving them the raw data or like not structured objects, and that's where they're changing it. But if the base in not at the beginning was not correct, nobody is going to be a winner. So that's only fine.
So my computer is glitching out right now, but I think we're on a much different scale, Maryna. So this is going to be an Excel file that has cost data, marketing data, and sales data, and we're going to have to combine them. Okay, I don't know why this computer is dragging so much, but we can actually walk through the data source right now. If you guys are at all, well, yeah, you can kind of critique what's going on with this. All right, so there's really just 3 data sources. So here's the ad spend. So the whole context of this is my students in Greensboro College got paired up with 2 of my consulting clients last semester for the capstone course. And what I did was I just recreated one of the projects. I kept the same data structures, and I just anonymized the data sources and then randomized the data. So this is the kind of structure is the same. And Christina actually was the one who came up with this concept of using a date scaffold to combine these together. So we've got our ad spend data, and it's advertising based on Amazon and Facebook for 1 quarter. Then we have 1 quarter of sales from Facebook, 1 quarter of sales from Amazon. And the challenge is you have to figure out, well, you combine them together, and I'll walk you through how to build the data model, which is, I mean, the challenge with this is that a sale didn't occur every day.
Right. So you will have around like 3 dimensions only. So the channels, dates, and the order, right?
Well, so the whole thing is calculating the return on investment for advertising on Facebook versus advertising on Amazon. And the business decision is, should we invest in this channel or this channel for marketing? I mean, it's a very compact, small.
And the data is only for 2020, or how historically it is?
So the use case is that it's a $150 million company that is B2B. They started a new direct-to-consumer line, and we only have 1 quarter's worth of data. So this is, and what's interesting is I actually have Christina coming in and talking about, Matt Bratton, you're featured in the course as Christina pitched you her retelling or her like mock interview explanation of this case study. So I'm trying to like incorporate all that's going into this, but yeah. So that's the kind of overarching plan right now. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on this.
Sure. So you're going to have their data model based on one Excel file with basically like 4 Excel files, right?
Right.
You're going to build your database, and then what kind of tool you are thinking to use in terms of data visualization.
So it'll be Tableau. So the reason I chose
That's
Excel
the one
is
that
Tableau.
Hunter was using. Isn't
Right.
it? Okay.
So Tableau Public has got a free
Yeah.
hosting platform.
Right.
So basically, this is like a self-contained portfolio piece that you could bring up like in a Zoom interview. And I think that kind of you can talk about what's the challenges of combining the data sources together.
So
you talk about scaffolding, all that kind of stuff.
Definitely would be interesting to see the forecasting or the predictions, since you have the dates there. So time series continuous prediction. That would be interesting to see. Trying to think of other metrics that will pop up. Maybe some benchmarking and showing the level of the prices like Facebook and Amazon during 2020, but applying different coefficients through their statistical analysis that you will make, showcasing what it can be in 2021. And then if it's true, actually, because you can pull the new data, you're going to be the winner.
Okay, so you're talking about bringing in like a third data source that you find out. Wow. Okay. I'm so glad that I just like workshopped this idea in front of you, because that's like a whole new, I didn't even think about that. Like in my head, it's like, basically this is a mental model of how you would handle calculating return on investment for marketing spend. And it's like this pretty self-contained case study, but it gives the students kind of a framework to think about. All right, here's marketing data and here's how you can do the analysis. But yeah, that's interesting. Thinking about like, what are the external pressures that are affecting this? And then, because maybe the return on investment would be better the next year because Facebook's ads cost is going to go down, or Amazon.
And not only that, 2020 was a pandemic, right? So
True.
now you bring in 2021 and showcasing how the different factors within politics were weather related impacted the difference, and how you can use those factors as the coefficients to predict the future prices for 2022. So that's much more interested than just, okay, what was in 2020? Nobody cares already. What is going to be in the future?
So what's funny is that's how I carved out my entire consulting agency, is looking at historical analysis. And this has been worth multiple millions for the clients that I've worked with. But see, you're in like you're in the deep end. I'm still in the kiddie pool, but like these medium, like 150 million in revenue or less companies, just doing some basic historical analysis, like just aggregating their sales data and finding trends can help. I mean, you can uncover like the biggest insight that I found, or maybe the most obvious to explain, is that this company was selling marine accessories. And I mean, think about the demand curve for that. So it's like winter, super low, super high during the summertime, super low. They were keeping their inventory stocking flat all year long. Yeah. So I was able to unlock $350,000 worth of excess inventory costs just like that. It's called
data mining. It's called data mining. So when you're data mining, where you're changing one factor to increase the revenue for another one. Very simple example. You're producing the beer and you're selling it in particular stores. Now, you found out that your revenue went down. That city, that beer is selling usually young families. So those families have young kids. So they found out that in the stores, usually the woman is sending her husband to the store to buy diapers for her baby. So a guy is going to the store and they changing the shelves, putting the beer cans close to the diapers. So his psychologist thinking, I'm so tired. being a young man, dad, it's so hard. So I'm taking diapers, and at the same time, to relax, I'm going to grab the beer. The revenue went up. So
Wow.
they changed, they absorbed the way is the customer is thinking, the way he's acting. So based on the historical trends, that's where you can change. So that's something every company is interested in.
Yeah. Okay. So Louisa, is she a friend of yours?
She is my project manager.
Oh,
She is
wow.
working with me for this business intelligence marathon. So
Oh, cool.
she's a big helper. Thank you.
Okay, so in that example you gave, how clean was the data? So Louisa is asking, it's close to impossible to get a quality data set. So cleaning and normalizing the data is crucial and knowing how to do it.
Yeah. So basically, I think Albert was showcasing yesterday the live session how he was learning about this techniques, about data cleaning and what are different scenarios. So it's definitely the experience that you're gaining through different projects, but knowing the fundamentals. Like I started my career, actually, it's funny, as a quality assurance specialist, and I love data validation. This is my favorite part. But just because I love dig into the data and I know, okay, there is a bug on the report. At first, I'm going to the first layer. Maybe it's on the Tableau or a data visualization tool. If it's not there, okay, I know that I have to check the data, how it works on the database level. If it's not there, that means my object is not connected correctly. I'm going to data warehouse people. So it's all the steps, procedures, and then on top, if it's like data science role, we have so many different open source Python scripts that will scan your data set, your raw data, and will identify, hey, you have the duplicates here, these strings are not matching, but it's automated solution. So there are definitely different methods, and in different companies, you will see there is a individual role for that. Quality assurance. In Amazon, everybody's quality assurance developer. You have to clean your data first in order to present it. Meanwhile, we do have the code release, code review sessions where, let's say, you have to submit something in production, but first the data engineering team will check if you're doing that correctly, if your syntax actually looks cool, because after that, you're going to put this in a safe place online where you have the historical data. So if someone is losing their job or transforming, it's still there. So that's why I said everybody is replaceable, but just because they knew how to organize this process. So after the code review, okay, my code is clean. Now everything is correct. So different technologies, methods, and definitely if you have a chance to take the course about just data cleaning and the methods on the different levels, I highly recommend it. And it's not only data warehouse, database, it's in SQL. What are the special scripts are you, and that it's actually a very nice interview question. A lot of people asking, okay, how you handle all your null values? How do you find your null values in your data set? Number one question everywhere. What is the difference between null and zero? How to find all my blanks in this particular column. So you just going through these questions for SQL, let's say, related, and you will be prepared at least for the interview, or you know that that will be applied at your real job. You will be doing this every day.
Oh, that's really interesting. Sorry, I had like a comment about something you said 2 minutes ago. You're like on a roll, so I didn't want to interrupt. Because what we talked about in the last live stream for the Google data certification is, Albert, you were saying that like Google and Amazon are juxtaposed very differently in terms of like organizational structure. Because
and just kind of ethos and just how they operate on a personal level. It's very different, but both get great results for wildly different reasons. But yeah.
No, I just thought that's interesting. So at Amazon, it's like you have a very formalized. Here's how you document everything you're doing.
Not in every team. I would say not in every team. So many people working for Amazon. It's not very standardized for each of the department. But I was lucky enough to be in my team, the new one, AWS Talent Acquisition, where it's pretty much very structured because they're focusing to be the number one team. They want it to be clean at the beginning. So,
so it's more of a hierarchical structure.
Yeah.
To where Google's flat and dispersed and wide.
Matrix. This is a word I had to learn how to use.
Matrix.
It's a matrix organization.
What does that mean?
Matrix.
It just means there's like so many overlapping efforts. That they just want redundancy and creativity and sort of people kind of competing in a friendly way, but yeah, they want a bunch of different people working on the same thing, and then we'll pick the best solution, and then we'll kind of crowdsource that solution and talk about it a lot. But then, but it's not this one person comes up with the ideas for the solution for this problem. It's like let's get like 10 smart people all working on it at the same time, but looking at it from kind of different angles, and then at the end we'll have a good plan for it.
All right, so we got 2 questions coming into the chat, so I can answer this one really fast. Eddie B, do you have any recommendations on a video where they show where to clean data? I think Alex the Analyst has a sequel or a whole portfolio where he cleans it, and I think Shashank Kalanithi has something similar, like where he will work through an entire project for like an hour and a half, and you get to see him meticulously go through it.
And also would be a nice question to ask where exactly you are going to apply it in your data science role or as a data analyst. Completely 2 different scenarios for cleaning. So
awesome.
Alex shows primarily how to use SQL to clean data, and I think that's the 3rd. He had a 4-part project series. I think that was number 3. And then the Google one was the 4th of 8 lessons. That one mostly uses Excel, but it does also show some SQL tricks as well.
Okay, so Eddie wants it in the data analyst role.
Perfect. Then definitely the SQL queries that will help you basically advanced in the data cleaning. So I have several.
What, you have several videos on it?
I have several scripts that I basically use like every day.
Okay.
It's like my library. Okay, it's easy to copy paste and use the same techniques because those kind of questions appears like pretty often. So, but definitely I can create the video.
Look forward to it.
I was about to say, if you want to create a YouTube channel, we're totally here to promote you. If you want
so much work, you're doing a great job.
It's only 24 hours in a day, man.
I know.
We're here for you. Okay, so Nikita asks, is choosing a specific specialization necessary when starting in data analytics, or can you apply and work for generalized roles in the beginning?
Hey, John David, before we get into this, I gotta push back on you a little bit.
Okay.
Young lady's name is Nitika. Yeah.
All right. Is this going to be like the running gag that I can't say?
It already is, man.
Al and I have actually discussed making a compilation of mispronunciated names. So look for that in the future.
I'm just gonna stop reading names and just start reading.
Yeah.
Just the questions. Nitika. I'm very sorry. Nitika. But what's the answer for specializations versus being a generalist?
If you're starting as an intern, they will pick the role for you, so you're not choosing basically. But if you're, let's say, already a junior specialist, you can start applying. I would recommend start applying in that subject area where you already feel at least a little bit confident. So, like whether it's biology, whether it's finance, whether it's traveling, all different types. So you must have the major when you already graduated, right? So what is your favorite subject area? So I would choose that part, because like when I joined Amazon, I was working at operations, and honestly, not my favorite. I still like to analyze the data, but it wasn't my favorite thing. So now that I switched to talent acquisition analysis and analyzing the recruiting world, the recruiting data, oh, so much more focus and interest for me. So I definitely would focus on the roles with a specific area.
Yeah, if I could kind of dovetail off of that, I love how you put that. And it's I'm finding going into interviews now, you do have to kind of define what it is you like and don't like. And a lot of times I find that in an interview, they will describe to you more so than just the job description. They'll describe to you what the job involves, and then say, does that sound like something you'd be interested in? What I have found just through the journey of becoming an analyst is I really enjoy human response and human performance and measuring what people do. I really hate like machine specs and
right?
Kind of digitally generated or equipment generated things. I don't want to sit there and examine why an aircraft part fails one time out of every million flights. Like that sounds like watching paint dry to me. So at least I've cut that down where like if I'm doing marketing analysis, that's great. That's measuring people's responses to a stimulus. If I'm measuring sports statistics, also wonderful. But yeah, if you start talking about just dry banks of numbers that come out of a machine, I don't care to do that. So
at the same
I think
time,
you have to trim it down somehow.
At the same time, it's very challenging. Human factor is very hard to predict.
Yeah,
whether
absolutely.
they are machines, it's easy.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny because I echo the sentiment of you guys of like I like marketing and sales analytics so much more. What's funny? So I'm going to ask us. You said no stupid questions, right?
I think she said don't be afraid to ask a stupid question. She didn't say that.
I'm shaking in my boots right now. But you don't know Danny Lauer at Amazon. That's like one of the stupid questions was like, oh, you live in this country? Do you know this person?
Yeah.
Because Amazon's huge.
What department he is working at?
So he's a senior. I mean, let's pull him up.
Yeah.
I
know a lot of people from Amazon, but it's such a big company and in all different regions. So it's not only North America, right? It's also EU, LATAM, APAC. So the people might not even be in the United States, but you already know them. Not pulling yet?
Right. So I think Danny. Oh, are we having some?
You have many
names. I can't say names. I can't type. Daniel. Lauer. Here we go. Okay.
Oh,
so he
was at your podcast. I remember. I think I was watching the video. Yeah.
So he's okay. I feel like I have a series of mini mentors. Okay. So the story with Danny is that he was a friend of a friend. Back 7 years ago, he was getting his MBA in Winston-Salem, which is 30 minutes away from where I live. And I reached out to him and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting an MBA. Can I grab you a beer? So informal. And can I just talk about your experience getting an MBA at Wake Forest?" And what's interesting is that like we then became friends and started hanging out, like actually like in my friend circle. And then he moved to Australia, then got a job at Amazon, moved back to Seattle where he grew up. And what's funny is that he reached out to me looking to hire me for a position on his team. He's like, I see you're doing analytics work all the time. Do you want to come work for me? Yeah. And I was like, I'm good, but I'll interview you. So, but I think that demonstrates the value of having these mentors, is that you build long-term relationships. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is I didn't even do a good job of proactively keeping up with him. But if I were to check in with him every 6 months, 3 to 6 months or something like that, like, hey, just thinking about you, that opens up a whole lot of opportunity over the long run.
I agree with you.
So you don't know Danny?
No, I don't know Danny.
He's not in the cubicle next to you?
Automated inventory management. Nope.
So that's what.
But I definitely can pull the data about him from my data sources because I have a.
Oh, that's true. You're in HR, right?
in recruiting.
Okay.
So he can take a look at how he was doing in the interview. What was the feedback about him? So I'm the devil, actually.
That's awesome. But no, I just thought that was kind of an interesting little side tangent. We've been talking for an hour and a half. It feels like it was fun by. But I think that this is probably a good point to put a pin in it and wrap up the conversation. So let's plug you. Where can people find you?
Definitely link it. If you're working at Amazon, try me. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. So any preferable platforms for you. I think you have all the information, and thank you, Albert, to put it all together. Really nice promotion. And happy to contribute to this community. And if I'll have enough time, definitely include me to this Project Hunter.
Thank you. I will.
Awesome. Well, this has been a delightful conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.